Abandon the name you were. Ride with me, or remain bound to the world you fear to lose.
The Wild Hunt from a modern shamanic perspective. I think the Wild Hunt is much more than old ancient folklore and mythology. Mythologies, of course, are from stories that were once experienced. So let's dive a little bit deeper. And also I want to share some personal experiences of what it could mean within our daily life from a shamanic initiatory perspective, because this is really what this is about. Because there is a reason ancient myths don't die. They are here for us to remember something ancient and primal. Because they live in dreams, initiations, and in moments when something within us die. It's the moment when life cracks open. Because last night I had a dream. I had a dream that when I dream about Odin, I always wake up terrifying. Terrifying, and I wake up screaming and crying. And I wake up the person who sleeps next to me. And later I started to reflect more and deeper about this dream. And I will explain what this dream meant. And how also this relates to the Wild Hunt. Because what I will be sharing is more about the true purpose of the Wild Hunt. And the reason why it was done and performed. And of course why so many felt terrified about it. Because it was a terrifying experience. In the dream I was walking up a narrow staircase in a small city office building. On the left there was a tiny office, maybe 3 desks, some chairs. I had to come back to pick up my backpack. My colleagues were gone, my manager was gone. Then the place changed. The office turned old, dusty, cracked walls, abandoned. And then the first black raven appeared. He landed on my left hand. Then a second raven came, landing on my right hand. At first they were calm, then slowly they began biting my fingertips. It was painful and I resisted. The more I resisted, the harder they bit. Until I realized something crucial. Resistance was making it worse, so I let go and I yelled,
Can you hear me, Odin?
Can you hear me, Odin? And in the moment the entire room trembled. It was shaking. Even the ravens didn't know what was going on. But yet they knew. At the moment I did that, through the veil I saw the face of the old man, showing only his face, and he wasn't really completely there in the full body, but only through the veil he looked at me. And then I woke up screaming, and I woke up my partner as well. So this is really like a personal experience, and we all go through different kind of personal experiences. But how this really relates to the Wild Hunt, let me first explain what this dream actually means based off symbols. First I walked out of a working office, a small working office representing something where it feels tight, constrained. My colleagues were already leaving, my manager already left. I had to go back because I forgot my backpack. I walked back up the stairs. The stairs, of course, is moving through worlds, moving upwards, is ascending. Then I came back into the room. And the room wasn't really like a normal office room anymore. It transformed into an old dusty place where the cracks in the walls started to appear. The windows fell apart. It means the energy, the vital energy was not there anymore. The life force was not there anymore. This is what it represents. The cracks in the wall represents the thin layers through the veils between different worlds. Then the first raven appeared because the windows were not there anymore. It landed on my first left hand. And we had the 2 ravens of Odin, Hanin and Munin. Thought, memory and the soul. The first one landed here on my left hand, representing the unconscious minds and the old identities that we like to cling on to. First, it was reminding something about that was not longer part of me. Then the raven on the right hand, the soul, the memory, something ancestral runes coming to the resurface, something we need to let go of. This is what it represents. It is a wound that is there to remember. Also, it can reflect on ancestral lands, the wounds and the energy of ancestral lands, as I am here at the old town here in the southwest of the Netherlands, Middelburg in Zeeland. It was the headquarters of the Dutch West Indian Company. A time of European colonization, a time of slavery. This energy is still here in the land. There's trauma stored in the land. There's trauma stored in our ancestral memories. Then the raven started to bite my fingertips. It's the sensitivity that we have and the touch we have with the world. The pain was immense. And of course, when we feel pain, we resist. We resist. We want to grab the raven. What the raven does? They bite harder. And that's what I experienced, in immense pain. This is the pain that we experience through initiation, initiatory pain. Because we resist something that dies off, that no longer belongs to us. It is the dying part of us when we are in a process of transition. But part of the wild hunt, when we don't fear and resist, when we fear and resist, it will persist. Then the souls will be taken and we will be wounded even more. But when we acknowledge the presence of the leader, Odin, we acknowledge his presence, we accept our process of going through this initiation. The room trembled and he showed his face through the veil, so he was not completely in physical form in his whole full embodiment. Meaning, the initiation is not fully completed yet. It is just here a reminder that we must go through our phases of stagnation to let go of this old identity that likes to suffer and keep ourselves small. We already have been through processes of initiation through our shamanic work, diving into the world, the ancient world, the gods, the deities of the old ancient pagan world and everything that comes along with it. We're not only fascinated by mythologies, we see the mythology as a story that can become relevant in our daily life. So we have already been through a level of a threshold, but we have not yet fully embodied the new version of our work as a leader, is to take the full responsibility as a leader. Yet, we must be careful. We also here not here to see ourselves as the chosen ones, or as we identify with the ego of the shaman. We must be very, very cautious and careful with that, as we do not step into another kind of egocentric role, as we must become here as a leader of being of service. So how does this all relate to the wild hunt? A lot of people, they always like to say, okay, so what are the academic sources? The source exists in here. So basically, first of all, the wild hunt, it only exists in the last months of the year, when the weather is cold, grey, miserable, storm, wind, the howling wind. As it was seen, as the winds was a sign and the thunder, the rain, it was a sign when in mythology the leader, Odin, would ride his 8-legged horse Sleipnir and come into our realm and bring his army of warriors, ghost spirits. Because first of all, it was a thinning of the veil of where we could enter through different realms and different worlds altogether. This is the ending of the year, of the time of the Yule and the Samhain, of the Halloween. But the Yule, as we are approaching the 21st of December, this is a time when the veils are very, very open. So it is also the process of when the last souls, the souls who were lost, or the spirits wandering through the worlds, who could not really be in one world or another, they had to move on. They had to be collected, let's so to speak. But also the souls of the living, of you and me, the restless souls who are wandering between the veils, between the worlds. The one part that is dying of the old identity and who has to be able to walk and travel through the different realms and worlds. It is to maintain a balance between these different worlds, because as what we see right now, we see a collapse of the old trembling world that is falling apart. Let's call it the old matrix of our old conditioning, programming and everything, and the old power structures, the control systems do everything it can to maintain this old world. But many of us who are already falling apart of that old world, the old structures are crumbling. We are losing jobs, careers, safety, security, and everything that comes along with it, you know. And our old identity that was attached to these old roles, jobs, careers are also falling apart. It comes apart with famine, you know, when the crops is not longer giving us the food that we need, you know. It means is that we're losing the financial stability that we were hanging and clinging onto, and it's not longer working for us. So this is part of that as well. So the restless souls of the living are here going through the process of initiation. But also the unresolved energies, the ancestral fragments or the fragmentations that exist within us are also here to collect it, to be transformed and transcended as well. And this is of course from the energies from the living, of course, you know, as we are talking about a balance that a lot of souls that are dying had to move on to the different realm, because to restore the balance and the harmony. But from the living men who feel lost, they also had to go through this process of initiation, because so many of us, we feel lost within this modern time, this modern age, because we lost the touch with our roots, with our ancestral roots. And this is now a very important aspect, that we reconnect with that. We feel it through our ancestral memory, that something is awakening of the ancient worlds, where we can re-establish these roots with. But that means the old fragments of the dying world must fall apart first. That's why we are losing, we think we are going mental. We are going mental through so many different planes, and we see this as a crisis. And number two, to clear what has already died but refused to leave. So everything that already died, it needs to let go. We cannot cling on to the old world, because the wild hunt comes in times of storm, of winter, of cold, of darkness, of times of collapse. Why? Because it's a spiritual clearing, cleansing force. It strips away outdated identities, roles, careers, jobs, structures, inherited trauma, or unresolved grief that we can now experience in our daily life as burnout, depression, and other kind of mental, emotional, spiritual diseases, or it has manifested in our physical body as well. It is far from gentle, but absolutely necessary. And number 3, to initiate the living. The dead is going to the other realm, to the spirit realm, but the living with the restless souls are here to be invited to go through a deeper part of their soul essence. Because the world hunt will test the living. Because not everyone is taken, but some are marked. Those who resist will be wounded. Those who listen will change. And that's why it appears in dreams. For letting go of the man you were once was, to forget about your name and step into the man you are becoming, who we must become. And then why Odin leads the hunt. Odin is not a god of comfort. It is not someone or something you can worship. He does not meet the men who worship him. He does not bring comforts, conveniences, or luck. He's a god of sacrifice, exhale, ecstatic wisdom, death, and rebirth. He leads the hunt because he only understands or understood one truth. Wisdom without sacrifice will destroy men. Odin does not give something away for free. He takes something first. An eye, an identity, a former life. This is currently what we experience through our identity shifts. Relationships breaks, falls apart, careers, jobs, financial safety, security, stability, all of that. And how it goes together with our daily mental challenges as well. This is so common for those who are going through a shamanic initiation, the shamanic illness. So, why the wild hunt still shows up in our modern day life. Not just how it has been written by the terrifying ghostly stories of our old ancient mythologies and folklore. Now it shows up in our dreams. It shows up when the old systems collapse. Because men lose their initiation. When the land carries unresolved trauma. When we still hold on to ancestral trauma. And when the ancestral wounds resurface. It does not chase you. It asks you a simple question. Will you cling on to what is already dead? Or will you embrace and move on with a deeper order of life? The wild hunt is not something you romanticize or worship because you think it's a cool story. It's not something you seek. It comes when the old life is finished, when your old life is finished, whether you agree or not. And when it comes, resistance feels painful. But remember, light entered where it hurt the most. And listening and acknowledge the presence of our leader will lead to your transformation. And listen and recognize what is happening. If all of this resonates with you, remember, you're not broken, you are not lost. You're standing at the edge of initiation. And that's why I want to create a community for the men who are remembering their ancient roots of our shamanic pagan past, who are remembering something ancient and primal about them. But in daily life you can't really seem to connect with like minds. Therefore you are becoming the lone wolf. But we are here to join a tribe of wolf. To connect with our instincts, with our leadership over ourselves. To reflect with each other so we can grow, evolve and transform. And that's why I want to create a place for us as men who are going through this rite of passage, the shamanic initiation. There's no quick fix, there's no one solution. It's a process, it's a journey, and that's why we need to come together to learn and grow with each other, and how we can embrace our leadership and creative endeavors in our daily life as well. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, then let me know. Simply drop a comment below. Let me know if any of this resonates or connect with you, and let's start off the conversation. All right. Thank you for being here and for having the courage to embrace this journey. It is far from easy. There's no such thing as easy. It's far from comfortable. This is the process of discomfort. So that's why I hope this video was helpful. Anyway, I look forward to see you on one of my next videos. Take care for now. Bye bye.